as women without even feeling guilty?
Thank you, Connie. So guys, I'm at it again. Please touch it. Okay. Work-life balance. As it sounds, it's just striking a balance between work and your own personal life. Most of the time we look at it as the problem is on the personal life, because at work there'll be a stick. If you don't focus on work, there are consequences. They'll put you on a PIP, they will give you warning letters, or maybe for performance. Then in the end, you'll see yourself out of work. And yet we all know that we need work. So most of the time, people tend to focus on work and leave the personal life. It is important that we focus on our personal life as well. Make time and do your own thing as a person outside work. I'm not saying that give up on work. Now, how do you balance the two? You know that at work, I work 8 to 5. So, first of all, you have to manage your time properly. If you know that you have a lot of work, and then you say come in late, you know that there will be work that you'll carry home. So it is important for you to manage your work, your time, so that you work on time, live on time, and go do other things. We get so many, usually we get distracted. You carry on so much. At work they tell you do this. Flexibility is good, and we all say it when we are applying for jobs. But there's a limit to how flexible one should be. It should not affect your personal life. There are times you have to politely learn to say no. Not rudely, that is beyond my scope, because remember when we are applying, these are the things we say we are good at. But at some point, you have got to say no when it is necessary, so that you focus on another something to do. Right now, it may not bite you, but you're postponing hurt. At some point, you will get an issue if you don't concentrate on it. Now, for example, you can find somebody on their desk and they are telling you, I have had this headache for 3 days now. What have you done? Let's watch it. Let's watch it. But these are signs. Health is one of those things you have to focus on as your personal life. Somebody says, let me first finish A, B, C, D at work, then I will make time for this headache. Somebody says, I will do it over the weekend. This is not luxury, guys. Now imagine you don't make it to the weekend. It is important that you also give yourself time. Make your you time. It is also important for your own mental state. There are people who their cup of tea is a glass of wine. If they have any challenges at work, or they go back home, take a glass of watch a movie, and they will be okay. Those are simple things somebody might ignore, but you come back to work the next day very happy and ready to take on a challenge. There are also things that if you don't close, personal things that if you don't close, they will affect your performance at work. So it is important that we manage that element. Connie asked me if it is possible that we can do this without feeling guilty. You can try, but there are times you will feel guilty. The kids of nowadays we have are good at making us feel guilty. But what I can say about that is if you are here, be here. There's a story I've been telling my colleague when we just came in, that there's a movie I watched where I think they were falling apart, honestly. So the woman kept asking the husband, are you happy? And the husband kept saying, I am here. That is what matters, I am here. Not that I am here kind of thing is what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're here, be here. If the company has given you time off, we have weekends, be there for the kids. Monday to Friday, if you're at work, be at work. The people who come and go like life is normal. When you're there, be there. Use that time to do why you're there. Do not waste the time that you're there. You'll go over the weekend and be contented that I did my part at work, and you will not feel guilty. But if you're the other person who is there and I'm here, you will feel guilty. That is if you have a conscience. There are people who are okay. I have not done this, but I'm okay. So how you manage that guilt is when you're there, be there. If you have taken the kids to swimming, be a part of this process, There are people who are saying, I took them and that's it. Be with them such that when you have to go away tomorrow, they will know at least when she was there, she was there. So be present. Then the other thing I'd like to say, and I will use an experience of myself. Parenting is hard. Nobody warned me about this. This is the time when you realize the importance of people. So if you're that kind of a person, then me, do not be afraid to seek help. If I did not have help in the field of motherhood, I would fall apart in employment. So some people fear to seek help. I am not that kind of a person. Don't take on so much. We are not perfect. We are individuals. When you feel you need help, please get it. Then you will shine on both ends. There are things that I am not good at, and the kids will know, for this, I need to go to Mommy Daphne. For this, I need to, like that. And they are contented. I don't feel guilty about it. So seek help. It is okay. That is what I can say about the subject.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah.
I think that really resonates home. So I think we need to be deliberate and also know when we can actually come first. And in light of that, we are all here because we're employed, and we are employed for a purpose. But sometimes we face challenges with how we manage our finances and how that speaks into our everyday life and life goals. So I'd like to ask Martha, the topic financial management, is it for the woman or for the man to handle?
Thank you, Connie. I think financial management, we've been brought up, I think most people in their lives have been privileged enough to have grown up in a strong family with a strong mother. And we've been taught in so many ways that financial management is really not something that, that women should be taking on, right? You sit in the home, you everything, you have to go to your dad. Daddy, I need this. Dad, I need this. Dad, I need this. And that's because the society has basically built us up in a way that we are always submissive. We're always going to sit and wait for the man to come to our rescue. I think there are three things that I've learned over the course of my few years on this earth. There is one, right? You need to be very bold and intentional when it comes to financial management. There are so many times we earn a salary every single month. Some women will take the money back to their husbands, which is well and good. Other women will pocket that money, which is not so good. Guys, as you go through life, you'll start understanding certain things, right? Average relationships or friends will equal a very average life for you. Basically, what it means is that take 5 people that you usually hang out with as yourselves. You are basically the average of those people, right? So what you need to start thinking about is, am I hanging out with the right friends who are teaching me how to invest correctly? Am I hanging out with the right people who are teaching me how to save correctly? Am I with the right partner who is going to build me up, not tear me down? Am I with a partner who is not going to let his ego take over because I earn more? But the biggest thing is, am I the type of person who is going to be humble enough with the resources that I have not to make my partner feel like they are not worth being with me? We get stuck in situations, and this is something that is very dear to me because I'm very domineering as a human being. I've been told this so many times. But one thing that I will stand up and say is, I am not going to listen to how you tell me I should be spending my money. There are certain principles that I have in place. I'm very clear that I want to own a house by the time I'm 30. And I own a house now, right? I am not going to sit down and basically make myself submissive because that's what society views us as. We will put forward our best foot and say, these are my financial goals. By the time I'm 40, I should be owning this much in my stock portfolio. Have I taken the steps that need me to get to that particular point? You should always have your goals set up for you. If it's that you want to own a Range Rover 5 years from now, are you sitting down and actually planning for that Range Rover? You shouldn't have a situation where you just have a large expenditure coming up and you're saying, I'm going to use my existing salary right now to make that payment. You should actually sit down and plan for it and say, in 5 years, for me to be able to buy a Range Rover that's worth about 400 million shillings, how much money should I save now to be able to afford that in 5 years? And don't get swept up in the moment of things. There are so many times we sit there and we say, oh my God, Rest is wearing a very beautiful shoe. I must have it. I must have it. You should never, ever spend to impress. You spend to impress, you're going to be broke for the rest of your life. And it's a fun fact. When you look around Kampala, look around the world, most wealthy people are actually very frugal. And when I say frugal, I'm not meaning cheap. Don't basically deny yourself of the good things that exist in life. Sit down and say, I'm going to spend extravagantly on the things I love and desire, but I'm going to cut costs on the things that I don't need or want, right? Don't spend just because you see there's a sale at Woolworths of 50% off, then you rush and go buy a pair of shoes that you don't even need. So think through what you actually love and want to spend your money on and actually spend it on that. And one key thing that we also have to keep in mind is that as we go through our life and we start budgeting and we start understanding how to control our money, stick to a specific rule. I learned this just a while back while I was struggling through my life and struggling to get a handle on my money. It's a very basic 50-30-20 rule, right? 50% of your net salary, we're talking net, never think gross, think net. 50% of your net salary should go to spending on your needs. Pay for your yaka, pay your rent, pay water bills, whatever bills you need to pay, and try as much as possible to spend on all those bills in one day so that you know what your effective cash is. 30% of your net salary, you should spend on what you want. Again, do not sit down. Again, do not deny yourselves. Guys, you will be sad at work because your work will not make sense at all. Why am I working this hard and I'm not enjoying my life? Enjoy your life. 20% of that, save. So I'm very poor at saving. I've said this to some people in my team. I'm that type of person who is eat once, starve once, right? But what I've done is I've basically said, all my savings need to be automated. Off my bank account, off my salary at Airtel, all of them have to go off. As soon as the 28th hits, you will find me in the bar. You will find me happily spending that money across Kampala. Because again, I have to spend what I have made. I'm not going to suffer through it. I think the final thing that I want to say is investment is key, guys. Don't think investments are complicated. Just keep 3 basic principles in mind. 1, investments should be boring. Don't be led by your emotion. Don't be dragged around by these Ponzi schemes or things that you do not understand. Keep it simple. If someone is into cryptocurrency, don't just run to it because, oh my God, I'm going to get paid a lot. Understand what it is you're investing in and invest for the long term. Very many of the wealthy people in this world have actually invested because they're looking at the long term. Don't be in a rush to make back your investment in 1 month. Think 25 years from now, what is it that I'm going to get from this investment? Look at people like Warren Buffett. He actually sits down and says, from this company, what is it that I can get? Is it something that is going to turn over in 25 years? Is it something that is going to make sense in 25 years? Is it something that is going to make sense in 10? Or is it going to be a short-term thing? You find it very rare that people will sit down and say, I'm going to invest in quality chemicals because I'm looking for a quick return, because that is going to be a long-term investment. So think 3 things and don't be afraid to take any bold move in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. I think Shaz articulated that so well. So for all ladies, now you know, financial management is not just for the men. It's for us to work, enjoy, but do it with the right strategy and direction. And some of the things that Martha has mentioned, like trying to spend to look like somebody else, are things that stem from self-esteem sometimes. And that's something we struggle with as women. And some of us have, picked it up along the way, worked around it, but others have still failed. Yet we are mothers, yet we lead teams, and we need to see how to support them. So Irene, with the ever disruptive environment, years from now it will be a different story. How do we position ourselves to groom our children right, lead our teams better, and ensure that we prepare them for today, tomorrow, and have a lasting legacy of women?
Thank you, Connie. Yeah, so definitely we are in an era of technology. We are not going to run away from that. And we have to start thinking as parents how we are going to parent in this world of technology. So the devices are here, internet is here, you have no excuse, you have no reason to even stop your child from owning a device or using the internet, because it comes with so many benefits. It is from here that the children are going to learn a lot of skills. They're going to even learn how to express themselves. They're going to know so many things. Like, I remember when I was a kid, speaking to someone from abroad was really hard. It would be so hard for you to understand their accent. But these days, our children, they can understand anything, whether it is someone from China, Japan, and that's because of the technology that has come through and the content that they get to see. However, it also comes with its downside. There is cyberbullying, there is fake news, sometimes there is radicalization. Your child can fall victim of these things. Then there are these people who live this ideal life and they make you feel so bad or down about yourself. So with such things, we have to be really aware of the dangers that come with technology. And we have to support our children. So how are we going to do this? First, we have to learn together. We have to train and talk to these children about the dangers that are out there. Because there will be those vouchers there that are online that you can't easily trace, that will come for your child. So back then, maybe someone would be kidnapped or be bullied at school. This time it can happen in your home. So we have to be very cautious of that. So you have to look at ways of protecting them. So some of the ways of protecting the younger children would be putting in place monitoring devices or monitoring what the content that they watch or the content that they have access to. Then you'll also put rules in the home. You'll have a time for internet and a time for other things, doing other things. For example, in my home, the rule is you do not touch anything until 4 p.m. Other things have to happen. You have to do chores, you have to do your homework, whatever it is that you have to do. But you have to find other things to do to keep them busy. You have to keep them engaged, because your child can also fall victim of becoming an addict and they'll just make a mess of themselves. So those rules are also very important. But now, as children grow older, like I told you, my children are teenagers. Guys, teenagers are really hard. I don't know how many have teenagers here, but they are a challenge. I used to think looking after babies, breastfeeding was hard. No. Teenage children, and boys at that, is even harder. So I remember during the time of COVID, when everything was online, they were having online classes and what, I caught one of my sons on YouTube instead of following the classes. So I got so angry, I got someone from work, an IT guy, to come and block all those all those sites so that they wouldn't have access to them and be able to concentrate on their studies. But these children are very intelligent. They know how to bypass things, and somehow they found a way of bypassing. But I have another child who also lets me in on the secrets that happen. So that one sold them out. So anyway, after that, I got to realize that I am not going to be restrictive, but rather be more engaging with them, talk to them about different life things. And one of the ways of doing this is using God. So we do fellowship, and as they were growing up, we used to pray a lot, but as teenagers, you make it deliberate. So we used to, I remember there was a series that was going on one of those Christian radios about pornography. It used to happen every day at 7 a.m. So I would wake them up for us to listen to what the pastor was talking about, the dangers of pornography. And interestingly, there were also former porn stars who were talking about pornography and the bad side of it and what it made them feel and how it even affected them spiritually. And I was also happy to hear that even whoever is watching, that spirit can also get into them, so it scared them. So anyway, these are some of the ways you would support your child. And you talk to them, you guide them, and in a way, you also become friendly with them. Have time with them, talk to them, have fun with them. I love dancing. I didn't tell you that is one of my other secrets. So sometimes I'll ask them to teach me their dance moves and what. But in so doing, you're getting to engage them more and more, and you get to know what is on their mind. And later on, they will come freely to you and come and tell you if there is anything that is really not appropriate for them. So as parents, we have to learn. We have to learn about, let's not leave IT for the techs. Let us also become techs. Let's know what are the cybersecurity tools that we can apply. What are these sites that are mostly prone to these risks coming onto our children? And as we go along, we learn as they learn. And when they grow, you will expect and trust that they will be able to be in control of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene. And as Irene was speaking, I remembered a campaign that Dove and LinkedIn are running to end hair discrimination in the workplace, majorly support more of women, African women, wearing their hair and not being judged for it. And when you look at this panel, you notice we have different hairstyles with Irene wearing her own hair. And that speaks to the future, where the future is headed, okay? How you look, your professional attributes, your uniqueness, how do they stand out and how do you use them to your advantage? And that's a question I would like to run by Claire and see how you can shed more light on tomorrow's professional outlook and how women can identify their uniqueness and use it to their advantage.
Thank you, Connie, for that question. I'll take it in two different parts. Firstly, how do you identify your unique selling points? For this, you need to do some soul searching, ladies. You need to understand yourself. What do you stand for? What works for you? What makes you unique? What is it that you do that others are not able to do? And as you do this, you look out for your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your skills? What are your accomplishments? What's your competence? What is it that you are known for? You need to have professional goals. What would you like to achieve? Where would you like to move as a leader? What are your long-term and short-term goals? What are your strategic aspirations, and how do they align to the strategic aspirations of the company that you're working for? As you do that, you also need to know your weaknesses and development areas. This is very important for you to be able to work on them, to be able to move to the next stage. So the next part of the question, which is how to package yourself to be able to move to the next level. Firstly, you need to be authentic. You can only excel while being yourself. Be yourself and do yourself. You can never excel at being somebody else. Then you need to sell yourself, ladies. Customarily, as ladies, we are told to be meek, humble, modest, and sometimes we are very good, and our male counterparts are not even half as good, but they've mastered the art of selling themselves, something we don't do. So sell yourself. How do you sell yourself? Seek recognition. Sometimes you're very good at something and maybe you're bypassed or somehow somebody forgets you. Stand out, speak, and get recognized. Offer yourself on projects to lead and maybe handle certain tasks that everybody else is shying away from you. And then also, you'll need to keep improving your skills. Ladies, we have to study. We have to broaden our knowledge. Go all the way, do your master's, do your PhD, specialize in areas of interest, and keep growing. You also need to develop your leadership presence. Communication skills. We all have different communication skills. While some people are really vocal and speak on top of their voice and are high-pitched, others are a bit calm and can make their point in a calm and precise way. Choose your communication style that works best for you, and do your thing. Carry yourself with professionalism, ladies. Dress code, it's very important. It speaks words, body language, facial expressions. You need to be purposeful and ensure that all these work to your advantage. Create a support system. You cannot go very far without a support system. You need mentors, someone to walk the journey with you. You need a sponsor, someone to speak for you behind those closed doors. You need a network of women who are already going through what you do to share and help you maybe jump certain hurdles that you otherwise would not have done so. Delegate tasks. As women, we are kind of perfectionists, and very often you want to do things yourself, and you find yourself held up in a superwoman trap. Ladies, don't find yourself in this, because you're bound to fail. Delegate stuff, prioritize, and get things out of the way. Be confident and assertive. Very often, you are not able to assert yourself, you're a walkover, maybe you have certain ideas, but you can't speak, you can't articulate them. Assert yourself when you know that what you're talking is the right thing to do. Stay persistent. Sometimes we give up. The pressure is too much, and you give up. Persist. Very often when you persist, you are able to achieve what you want to. And then also, be able to hold up when there's pressure. Stand up. Take leadership. Provide guidance to your team and ensure that you navigate the challenges and get out of them. Learn how to handle conflict. Inevitably in the workplace, there will be conflict. Be able to manage it. Use emotional intelligence. As one of the speakers said, as women, we are very gifted. There are certain things that come naturally for us that don't come for men. Use emotional intelligence and handle situations appropriately. Sometimes you're very angry and it can be read in the tone of your email. So be able to manage the situation well and get out of it. That's just some of the many tips, ladies, that I can share, and I'm sure we can continue sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. And as I'd like to basically just touch base with Irene again one last time. If you look around, we have some really, really young women. And sometimes, as Claire has said, you need to sell yourself. You need to know your uniqueness and how you bring it out. But in light of today's digital era and the theme, what are some of the things that women can latch on and build a lasting career within the professional world?
Thank you, Connie. Claire has really touched on the bit of marketing yourselves. We really, who are you? What defines you? And who knows who you are? We all know what Airtel is, what defines Airtel. Now let us look at ourselves as a brand and also sell ourselves. So how are you going to sell yourself? Do not be modest in this career world. Brag about your achievements. Be very, very thankful. Be very proud of who you are and what you've been able to achieve. In addition to that, we have to keep learning. One of our speakers, Madame Shakira, told us some of our jobs will soon be obsolete. So we are challenged. What are we going to do? Are you thinking into the future? What are your long-term goals? How do they fit into the current trends? Looking at the technology and where it's headed and the profession that you're in, what are those new developments? Are you well aware of them? Have you looked at the new technology that would help your job or whatever it is that you're doing? And then we should not even narrow ourselves to our professions. We should have that eagerness and passion to learn new things. I have a friend who at one time was fed up with employment and told me, you know what, Irene, I'm tired of employment. I am now going to learn how to make health products. And true to her word, after her maternity leave, she did not go back to work because she had gone onto the internet. There's lots of information on the internet. She went and self-taught. She was self-taught into learning how to use different, mix different stuff to make these organic products. Then we also have to build our networks. Networks within our workplaces, networks within our home, our church, and generally. So I read an article somewhere where a lady was saying that we are the CEOs of our lives. So you have to appoint your personal board of directors. So what am I saying? Sorry. You look at who you would want to mentor you. Who is that person that you look up to? Find ways of reaching out to them. It can be, these days it doesn't have to be that it always has to be face-to-face. You can follow their blogs, you can follow what it is that they do, because there's lots of information that they will share. So the best investment that one can do in them, for themselves is to invest in learning. Then also your relationships with your peers, relationships with everybody around you. What kind of person are you? Are you a go-to person? Are you the person who goes all out, who owns something even when it has failed? Be that person that can be trusted. Those are the few tips that I can share.
Thank you so much, Irene. Thank you, ladies. Let's give them another round of applause as we draw towards the close of this panel discussion. And at this point, I'd like to invite questions from the audience. If you have any, burning question regarding any of the topics that we've discussed here, please put your hand up, and a microphone will come your way, and then we'll have that question addressed. Just remember what we have here. We have a team of authentic people who have gone through experiences that they've discussed. So it's your opportunity or chance to engage and interact and ensure that you live in a more valuable place that can take you further. So please stand up and do echo your question out. So we have one question coming in from Carol.
Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, ladies. Very well delivered, articulated session. My question goes out to Martha, to Kay. Martha, you mentioned, and it's a common thought across where we come from, that we are usually the average of the people we hang around with. So my question is, many of us have come from a background where you are with perhaps the less privileged, or maybe people who are not lucky enough to be in the spaces that we are in. So finally you succeed, maybe your earnings are high up there, and you want to interact with the people who are at your same level. How do you have that delicate balance managed, that you need to maintain your friends who are less privileged than you are, and yet you also want to interact with those that the society expects you to interact with? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Carol. We'll take a set of 3 questions. So if there's any other question, please raise your hand. Okay, there's one over there.
Hello, my name is Martha, and my question goes to the 3 ladies in the middle. I am just starting my career, okay? And reading your profiles, you have been in big companies and now in leadership for very long. My question is, what is a behavior or trait that you have seen derail very many female leaders when they get to the top?
Thank you, Martha. I think we'll tackle those 2 questions and then close the session. But for those who have any other questions, please feel free to jot them down. We'll have them received by the Human Resource Department, and then we'll give you responses accordingly. Okay, so Martha?
Okay, thanks, Carol. I think just reconfirming, your question was, how do you basically strike a balance between the people society expects you to interact with and what you would term as your less privileged friends, right? I don't know, less privileged just sounds wrong. One, I think when you sit down and start slowly discovering who you are, right? You start understanding where you now need to start planting certain seeds and starting to create certain networks, right? Anytime along your journey, you should never at any point in time compromise what you would term as your true friends, right? But also understand that some of these friendships do evolve to become, I'm going to basically try and bring you down, right? So it's about how do you sit down and identify the people who can now take you on your next journey without breaking off the relationships that keep you grounded. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to turn into someone who you can't recognize 5 years down the road. And for the life of you, when everything is going wrong, you do not know who to turn to. So for me, it's about thinking and saying, I'm going to be deliberate about the networks I create. And many people think I'm very rude about saying it, but I think I have about 5 friends. But I have very many acquaintances, right? I'm very, very careful about the relationships that I form, because I know that just because I am laughing with someone in my workplace doesn't mean we're actually friends. But we are acquaintances and we recognize certain benefits that we can get from each other, right? So I'm very intentional about it, and I say, I know that if I speak to, for example, if I speak to, let me give an example of Alan. If I speak to Alan, this is the benefit that I'm going to get out of him. So society does expect us, we are all leaders here, that does expect us to be speaking to people who are higher up the food chain and starting to create these networks. So yes, that aspect will always come in. But I'm very aware that when I do need to bounce off something, when my morals come into question, I always have a close group of trusted friends that I'm going to run to, and these are usually childhood friends. So for me, it's about seeing and saying, as I go to my next step being either director or heading a certain institution, what sort of networks do I need to have? Do I need to go to the golf club because this is where MDs usually go and hang out? Because I need to build my social capital, right? But if I need someone to bounce off on my morals, who am I going to run to? So it's about being very cautious about it. You need to be very, very deliberate to say, I'm going to keep myself grounded and not get swept up in all of the excitement on rising faster than I thought I could, but leaving behind people, but being very okay with the fact that at a certain point you have to let go of certain relationships and not have to sit back and actually apologize for it. Because you will have people, forgive me for saying this, leeches, who will basically just want to go along for the ride, but are not really adding any value to you. So be very, very intentional about it is what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. And Claire, would you like to take on Martha's question?
Yes, thank you. A behavior that I've observed about ladies is that sorry, I hope I'm now more audible. Very often ladies, we are very risk averse. You do not want to make any mistakes. So we overthink, end up splitting hairs, and opportunities pass us by. So it's very important that we learn to take risks and seize opportunities. But then, of course, these risks should be calculated. We have different personality types, and for some of us, the risks, even as you take them, need to be calculated. Then there are some mannerisms that we need to overcome. Sometimes there's an opportunity, you're the very best candidate for it, but then there are those stereotypes. You're like, no, they must need a man in this role. Most likely it's not for a woman. Then there's what they call the imposter syndrome. You downplay yourself before anyone even downplays you. You say, no, I'm not good enough. Why me? Why should I be given this opportunity? Am I the best? So we need to overcome all those and take calculated risks strategically and seize opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, ladies. I think it's been a great discussion. Hopefully, you've all had key takeaways to take from here as we look forward to the next journey.